What's going on, everybody? I am so excited. Today is the 100th episode of Builder Stories, and I have an extremely impressive guest to share with you. This guest is someone who has transformed the way businesses think about marketing, sales, and trust. Marcus Sheridan is the author of the game-changing book, They Ask, You Answer, which he recently published a revised edition called Endless Customers. Marcus, who was once known as the pool guy who got it right when he turned his struggling pool company into one of the most visited websites in the industry through radical transparency and content marketing. Marcus now helps companies all over the world do the same. He's a highly sought after industry speaker, consultant, and leading voice on how businesses can earn trust and drive growth simply by answering their customers' questions. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome you to today's episode. Welcome to the podcast where we take a deep dive into the stories behind construction business leaders. We will share how they got started, how they found success, and the lessons learned along the way. I'm your host, Eric Fortenberry. Welcome to Builder Stories. Welcome back, everybody. I am really excited today. This truly is like a dream come true. I have a very special guest. We have Marcus Sheridan. He is an author, a coach, a speaker. Involved in river pools. I think you've done a lot of everything, Marcus. You're just all over the place. You've been a huge inspiration to me and have helped me tremendously as I've built out JobTread. And I'm just so excited to have you. Welcome to Builder Stories.
Man, so it's all about the stories, right? And I'm here to tell them. And there's a lot happening in the world, Eric. So I think it's a great time to have a conversation because, the rate of change. I've had my pool company since 2001. I've never seen change like we're seeing today. Certainly at the rate that we're seeing today, there's nothing like it. So it's a great time to have a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember when I very first, I think when I first heard you speak, it was 3 or 4 years ago. It was at Mile High Profit Summit, Tom Reber's event. And I remember just listening to you tell the story about river pools and how, you wrote a couple of those blog posts that ended up generating, hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever it was. And you just talked about how like you literally just opened up and published everything. You published, hey, if you're looking for a pool builder in this area, like here's all of my competitors. And like, I was just so blown away that somebody would actually do that. I was like, man, my first thought is this guy's crazy. But then like you went into it and you pulled up your Google Analytics account and you're like, look at all the people. Like we got so much traffic and they're on our website, reading about, not only us, but everyone in the area. And they're like, it's building trust. And like, that just really resonated with me, Marcus. I ended up buying your book. I think I read it in like a couple days and I was like, all right, man, I bought like 20 more copies and gave it to the whole marketing team and sales team at that point. And we're, I think, pretty small. So it wasn't too many of us, but I guess it was called They Ask, You Answer.
Yeah.
You've since put out an updated version called Endless Customers, which again, devoured over the course of a couple days. Awesome update. Really love it. But, why don't you kind of just share a little bit more about like, how did you, come up with this concept to write They Ask, You Answer, and how did that sort of transpire into Endless Customers?
Yeah, man, I appreciate you asking. I started a swimming pool company in 2001. Things were going fine, Eric, up until the crash of 2008, 2009. And folks that had a business during that time, they remember what that was like. That was a very difficult time period. And it was terrible for pool companies. They were going out of business left and right around the country. And what was great about this, though, is whenever you have pain and suffering in business, you have a chance to do things that you've never done before because you're being pushed to the edge. And you're like, okay, I got nothing to lose. And this is why whenever the economy takes a dip, or at least the industries that have a dip, you see the most innovation during the dips. And so right now within home improvement, you're seeing a lot of folks that are innovating when it comes to their sales and marketing. Why? Because they're hungry. See, during COVID, they were hungry, man. During COVID, everybody's like fat, happy, everything's good. Nobody was innovating from a marketing perspective. The only thing they were innovating was maybe logistics, maybe how can we do, how can we do more work, because we've got the demand for it. But now they've got to work for it, okay? And so it was during this time, 2008, 2009, I started to read about the changing buyer. And the more I read and the more I saw phrases like inbound or content marketing, the more I thought, you know what, Marcus, if you just obsess over your customer, your buyer, and you're willing to give them what they want, to address their questions, worries, fears, issues, concerns, and you're willing to do that online, you could save your business. And so with nothing to lose, because I thought I was going to lose my home. My two business partners were going to lose their homes. I thought we were going to have to lay off our 16 employees. Started this journey of They Ask You Answer, and I brainstormed all the questions I'd ever received being a pool guy. And I had hundreds of questions that I wrote down. And I said, okay, here we go. I'm going to address every single one, along with the help of my business partner, Jason, and at the time, Jim as well. We addressed these questions. I did almost every single night for the next couple of years. And we became the most trafficked swimming pool website in the world. And we just totally took off. And we grew like fire. And then we became a manufacturer of fiberglass pools. And then we became the first franchise of fiberglass pools. And throughout this whole journey, Eric, I started to get requests because I was writing about what I was doing on the side. And people were like, man, I'd love to do that with my company. Can you teach about that at my event? And so I would end up becoming a full-time speaker. I speak today all over the world. Still have the pool company, at least River Pools of Virginia, sold the manufacturing side of it. And it's been an absolutely wild journey. I've started a bunch of other companies, but the fundamentals don't change, which is buyers every single day are growing more and more impatient. We also have a massive trust deficit in the world today. We don't know who to trust. We don't know what brands to trust, what people to trust, what friends to trust, what leaders to trust, what politicians to trust. I mean, it's all, no one knows who to trust. And so if you as a business, as a brand, can create trust signals that say, hey, we're not like everybody else, you will get attention. And it's easy to do. You just got to be willing to do 4 things. And I actually talk about this in the updated version of They Ask You Answer, which is called, to your point, Endless Customers. You got to be willing to do 4 things. And we did these 4 things before, but I frameworked them now in such a way that if you're listening to this right now, you should be able to listen to this and say, okay, yep, we're not doing that, but we could. So here are the 4 things, 4 pillars of a known and trusted brand. So what we call them. Number 1, you got to be willing to say online what others in your space aren't willing to say. So if you're listening to this right now, I would ask you, what are you saying online that your competitors aren't willing to talk about? That's number 1. Number 2, you got to be willing to show with video what others in your space aren't willing to show. So I would ask you, what are you showing with video online right now that no one else is showing? Number 3, you got to be willing to sell in a way that no one else is selling. How are you selling differently? And then finally, number 4, as all this AI, which is good, increases and technology advances, you got to be more human than others are willing to be. So you got to say what others aren't willing to say, show what they're not willing to show, sell in a way that they're not willing to sell, and be more human than others are willing to be. And if you do that, you're going to become a known and trusted brand, the most in your market. That's my promise to you. That is the system. The thing is, Eric, most companies won't do it.
Yeah. No, the first thing that comes to mind is pricing. So many people aren't willing to publish their price or share how they came up with their price or what is, it's just this void.
It's this massive mystery, which pisses people off. Do you know what's really interesting, Eric? The moment someone enters the buyer's journey, which is essentially when they say, oh, I have a problem. Oh, I have a need, right? Oh, I need a new pool. Oh, I need to put a roof on my house, whatever it is. In that moment, the first question that comes out of everyone's mouth is the exact same question. Doesn't matter culture, doesn't matter class. The first question is, roughly, how much is this going to cost? That's the gateway of the buyer's journey. Many people, if they can't open that gate, they won't go through the gate and they won't continue the journey. Think about that. But if someone is willing to open the gate for them, that's where they'll take their journey. And now, then they'll research companies, then they'll reach out to companies, then they'll talk to said companies, then they'll talk to salespeople. And the final question they have on the buyer's journey is the same as the first question with one variation. Now the question, instead of roughly, what's it going to cost? Now it's exactly, what's this going to cost? That's the buyer's journey. And we know for a fact that when companies are willing to teach what drives cost up and down, what defines value, no, not give your exact prices per se, because I know a lot of you builders out there are like, I can't do that as a contract. Every job is a customized solution, Marcus. I know. Trust me. I have been in this world. I've got more data about discussing transparency and discussing pricing online than literally anybody in the world. I've talked about this subject more than anyone in the entire world. I've taught more companies how to do this, and I've seen the leads that comes from it, which is extraordinary. It's so extraordinary. I created a piece of software last year. You can appreciate this as a SaaS guy called Price Guy. And all this does, it allows builders to quickly and easily create a pricing estimator that they can put on their site and address the question, roughly, how much is it going to cost? Now, here's the key. It's an estimate. It's not even a quote. It's not an exact price. It's an estimate. When you give people that, now you stand out because you're in the 5% of your industry that's willing to do it. You get the trust, and they say, finally, somebody's willing to give me what I want. And then there's a very good chance, because you got the trust, you're going to get the lead. And if you get the lead, many of you tell me all the time, if I can just get in front of the customer. I know, because you're good. You're good when you get in front of the customer, but you got to do what it takes to earn that before then. So that's why, pricing estimators, they're going to be table stakes for contractors, home improvement companies, et cetera, within the next 5 years, Eric. Table stakes. This is where all this is going. Can I show you another quick example or tell you another quick example?
Yeah.
I was with this big, realty group the other day. And I said, the second pillar is show what others aren't willing to show. And they were like, what's an example of that in real estate? I said, okay, just think about how many times you've shown a home in real estate, right? Oh, we've shown lots of homes. How many times have you created videos showing the home? Oh, I've done tons of those, lots, hundreds, sometimes thousands, depending on the firm. All right. Now, everybody gives them the same way. Creates these videos the same way. What do? They show you the house and what makes the house awesome. Do you know what's awesome? What would happen if you started the video and you said, now before I show you this house, and I love this house, but let's be honest, no house is perfect. Every house has potential flaws. Let's start with the flaws of the house before we show you what we love. Now, how many agents do you think have ever done that, Eric?
None.
None, dude. And that's the most obvious way to win trust within seconds. You want to talk about a trust signal? Oh my goodness, dude. This is an immediate signal that makes a person drop their guard and lean in. Recently, I bought a passenger van, a 12-seater. And I live in Virginia. I bought it in Wisconsin. And the reason why is it was a used, vehicle dealership in Wisconsin. But what did the guy do? I lie not. He has a video about this passenger van. And as soon as he starts the video, he says, okay, folks, I'm going to show you this passenger van today. Before we look at everything you can do and what I love about it, let me show you any of the dings, doinks, and scratches that you might want to see. That's where he started.
Nice.
You think I bought that van? You better believe I bought that van. Did I test drive that van? No. Did I see it in person? No. Did I spend a bunch of money? Yes. And why? Because he made me drop my guard. He was willing to show me what other used car dealerships aren't willing to show. That's applicable to everybody that's listening to this, Eric, despite the fact that's so sad. It's very human. People listening to this already, a certain percentage have said, yeah, but that doesn't apply to me. That doesn't apply to my business. That doesn't apply to my industry. And I can guarantee you are not outside this thing called trust and human psychology. It absolutely applies to every single company that's listening to this.
So how do you combat that belief that they have? If they just think that everything that you're saying is so, outrageous and doesn't apply to them, like what's your approach to helping them actually understand that it does apply to them and they need to make changes? Yeah.
Well, you've heard the golden rule, right, Eric? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. One of the things I ask people all the time, I say, whether you're a Christian or not, do you believe in the golden rule? Most people say, yeah, I believe in the golden rule. All right, well, then let's look at your marketing. Would you appreciate it if a contractor had an estimator on their homepage that gave you a rough sense as to what they or what you might spend. Well, yes, I would appreciate that. Okay, then why don't you do it? Well, you either believe in the golden rule or you don't. You see, why would it induce trust for you if you were on the receiving end, but you as a business, you can't do it? And the problem is we get caught up in certain things. We'll say things like, well, if they find out we're more expensive, we're going to scare them away. No, that's actually not true. What scares people away, Eric, we've done the studies on this, is when they can't find any information. That's way more scary. Ignorance is not bliss online. So you got to be very, very rooted. If you're going to be an extraordinary marketer, lead generator, brand builder for your organization, you got to be incredibly rooted in self-awareness. You got to be able to look in the mirror and say, how am I evolving? How am I buying? What do I like? What do I appreciate? What means a lot to me in this moment, right? And if you're willing to do that, it's no different than, I'll have folks say, I'm just not very good on camera. Okay. So are you good with people? Well, yeah, I'm good with people. I'm just not good on camera. You're lying. Because guess what? All the camera does, or all it really is, it's representing a person on the other side. You cannot tell me you're good with people and not good on camera. You just haven't developed the skill. And the reason why you haven't developed the skill is because you haven't committed to developing the skill. The reason why you haven't committed to developing the skill usually is because you don't have enough pain. But if you have enough pain, suddenly you get really good on camera, just like I got really good with becoming a writer, and then really good at video, and really good at a lot of things I sucked at previously as a contractor because I had pain, Eric. And the great companies don't have to be motivated by pain. You see, there's this thing called the pride cycle. It's like a circle. At the top of the circle, there's prosperity. At the bottom, there's pain. And a lot of companies, when they're at the bottom of the circle, they're in pain. They're like, man, I got to get out of this pain. So they start doing the little things. And this is the left side of the circle on the upswing. And because they start doing the little things, the extra marketing, the extra call, the extra video, the extra email, the extra follow-up, whatever it is, they start to get success, they get momentum, and then they finally get to the top of the circle, which is prosperity. But because they reach prosperity, suddenly they're like, maybe I can take my foot off the gas. It's very human. Maybe I won't send that extra email. Maybe I won't do that training with my team this week. Maybe we won't produce that video. Whatever that thing is, and because of that, suddenly they stop doing the little things, they start coming down the circle, and next thing you know, where are they at? Where they started, which is pain. And that's the pride cycle. And you see companies, and this is the history of the world, companies, countries, cultures, they go through this cycle over and over again. The great ones stay in the place of do the little things over and over despite your prosperity. That's the great ones.
Nope. Can't take your eye off the ball.
Yeah, look at JobTread. JobTread, crushing it. You got the law of momentum on your side. Everybody wants a piece of JobTread right now. Everybody realizes that's the future. All right, I'm seeing it. Everybody's seeing it. And so for you as the CEO of the company, and this is me just expressing my personal opinion, the most important thing that you can do right now as a CEO is to not allow the pride cycle to seep in and to continue with that incredible hunger and that innovation that got JobTread exactly where it is today. That you never leave that startup phase, if you will, because otherwise you get fat, you get happy, you become enterprise-based only because you got bought out by private equity, and then sure, maybe you're incredibly wealthy, but the brand dies. And I see it over and over again.
That's why I refuse to. I won't even talk to private equity people. I mean, I get so many emails and phone calls, and I'm just like,
I can't even.
Won't even do it.
How many do you get? Honestly, how many companies reach out to you a week saying we're interested in JobTread, we're interested in investing, private equity, whatever it is?
I get.
How many is it?
I get 3 to 4 per day.
Yeah, I guarantee you, it's so like no surprise. And this is what makes you special. This is why the first time I met you, your energy really resonated with me because I could tell this is a different type of company. This is why River Pools everybody converted within the River Pools ecosystem to JobTread because really ultimately it's really because of you. And that mindset that you have has permeated certainly to the tool, to the team, to the culture of the organization. That's why I wanted to come speak at Connect, just because I love working with you and I love what you're building. I think it's really, really special.
No, I appreciate that. And, again, I think that it I've learned a lot of this just by studying, how you've been able to build the brand and how you've been able to leverage, marketing as such a strength and such a tool. Like, I meet so many contractors who I feel like they don't understand, the value of marketing or even the difference between sales and marketing. They think it's all one and the same, and they get out there and they get a deal, and then they quit focusing on all of it and they just go focus on that deal. It's like, man, like, you got to set the engine up and you got to turn it on and you got to get it running. But like, they don't understand that it's the long play. It's creating
the law of the harvest is what it is, Eric. And there's a reason why a lot of people can never be a farmer, because they don't understand how the seasons work and how in every season you need to be planting a new field of seeds. And then you've got to water the crop and you've got to nourish the crop. And then eventually you do all the things right. And now finally you have a harvest. But of course, as that field is growing, you've got another field that you're changing over constantly. You're building. That's marketing 101. That's putting grain in the storehouse. That's what you've got to do as a company. And, great marketing really masks a lot of mistakes, because the number one key to a successful business is leads. It's leads, man. It's leads. You can have a crap sales team, but if you get enough leads, suddenly you think your sales team's good, right? You can have a world-class sales team, but if you have no leads, your sales team looks terrible. Do you see the difference, right? It's not sales. All roads lead back to your ability to generate leads. Now, the issue, though, is it's getting harder to generate leads. And one of the reasons, of course, is because AI is just swallowing up so much of what we've done for the last 20 years. You realize right now, Eric, over 60% of all searches on Google end in no click at all. They don't click anything. Why? Because they got an answer already. They read the summary, the Google summary, the AI summary, or, they caught their answer somewhere else. This is what's happening right now, which means you're seeing a lot of companies get less and less traffic from traditional Google. And, what's interesting is for 20 years, builders have had to do two things. They had to make the homeowner happy, the customer, and they had to make Google happy. And the way they made Google happy was producing content for SEO or or doing paid ads. Now, what happens when suddenly everyone stops using Google and starts using just AI? We have a problem. And this is where we're heading. We're having a catastrophe in 5 years when a lot of these builders who only know Google Ads and only know maybe what their SEO company is telling them, they are going to be saying, what the heck happened to all my traffic and all my leads and all my sales? You see, today you've got to win AI. And what's going to, just like Google drove you the last 15, 20 years, so much of your business, now AI recommendations is going to be key for you. Does AI recommend me, my company, my brand? When they search for me, does it recommend me? And how do you get AI to recommend you? You have to produce what we call trust signals. I'm going to talk a lot about this at Connect, but trust signals, there's a couple different types of trust signals. There's human trust signals, signals that we put out to the world that makes a human say, I want to work with them. And then signals that we put out online that makes AI say, I want to recommend them. And you've got to dominate the signals. And the key to that is you got to be talking about what others aren't willing to talk about, showing what others aren't willing to show, selling in a way others aren't willing to sell. Stuff that we've talked about so far. A pricing estimator is a major trust signal. Discussing having a pricing page on your website, major trust signal. Talking about the competition, not in a negative way, but openly. It's a major trust signal. Producing videos and putting them across all the social media platforms, major trust signal. Answering every review you get online, major trust signal. Every review produced about you, major trust signal. See, all of these are trust signals. And, if you don't dominate these trust signals, you're going to slowly but surely, you're going to lose all the momentum with your brand, and you're going to be left saying, how did this happen? And so you really got to be focused on creating those trust signals going forward.
Yeah, it's been really interesting starting to see, the number of leads that we're getting from Chat GBT.
That's right.
We started tracking it now as a special category just because we got so many, and we're like, where are they coming from? How it was just like one day, boom, we started getting all these people coming to us, and again, I think it's because of the Google reviews. I think it's because all the YouTube videos we're putting out. It's the content that we keep creating. But man, it feels so great to every Chat GBT customer that signs up versus, having to pay, whatever it is, for Google ad clicks. I mean, man, that is the way.
That's planting the field and that's reaping the harvest right there. That's exactly what it is. And, you've been hungry hippo with your content over these last few years. Whereas your competitors, the titans in the space, they're fat and happy. They're not doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
So they're living off of the past and the signals that were of the past versus what is today and what is recent. And that's why, this is how the digital Davids always slay Goliath, because you can make your own rules and you don't have to play by the rules that you've been given. You got into this space, Eric, and you could have just done what everybody else had done. You're like, nope, not going to do that. No, sir. Right? In this case, a lot of it was, they asked you to answer amongst many other things that you did. That was extraordinary. And that's why you guys are winning. But this is the essence of where we've got to go. And the fact that you're winning now, it's going to be really difficult for those other companies to capture the hill once you've captured it. And that's what makes momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you when you meet a new builder, let's say someone who's just very early on knowing, they don't even have a website, it's just them, right? They're a solo owner operator. They're struggling to prioritize what to focus on. What would you say to that builder about, how much effort should they be putting into their marketing and into, creating these trust signals and trying to drive the top of the funnel versus, closing down what they've got and, executing on the jobs that they've got? How do you help somebody brand new to the space think about how to allocate their time and resources?
What's interesting is that's a challenge for companies with billions of dollars in revenue. It's also a challenge for companies with $10,000 in revenue. Somebody comes to me and says, gee, I'm just a one-person gang and this is, I just don't know how I find the time. I'm like, man, it's so great being a one-man or one-woman gang, because nobody's going to tell you no. You are the digital David in that moment. You can do whatever the heck you want to do. You ain't got no board to approve your decisions. Right? You got not a bunch of people telling you no. You can at any moment pull out your phone and start recording yourself on the job site. You can upload it to Facebook, which is a free website essentially, and you can start generating momentum and traction for your brand and putting trust signals out to the world. You can take that same video and upload it to YouTube. You can take that same video and upload it to TikTok. You can take that same video and upload it to Instagram. And if you just say, I'm going to produce one video every single day for the rest of my life until I have this business, period, full stop, end of discussion. This is me. This is oxygen. This is religion. This is how I'm going to roll. You're going to do it. And really, for most builders, I say that's where you start. You start with the video. You start with putting that video on social. You could build something really big without even a website at first, which, by the way, as a side note, your YouTube page is going to be much more important than your website in 5 years anyway. So just do that.
Yeah.
That phone you've got in your pocket is better than any camera Hollywood had 25 years ago. It's extraordinary. What a wonderful time to be alive. Isn't it great to be a solopreneur, because you get a chance to exercise 100% creativity whenever you want?
That is such great advice. You can literally create the content and immediately publish and upload every single day without needing anybody else's help. You just got to pull out your phone. It's crazy how many people are so scared, though, to click record of themselves. What's
interesting? We say, well, the reason why I'm scared is because I don't want somebody to judge me. Here's what's wild, Eric. They judge you anyway. Let me give you an example. Some people say, I don't want to do video, so I'm not going to do video. And they come to your website, and the prospect, the viewer, is like, man, I really wish I could watch a video on this. But there's no video here. Now, do you think when that person can't find that video on your website, they say, oh, man, that's okay. They don't have this video. I'm sure they're just really nervous on camera. You see, they don't say that. what they say is, really wish I could watch a freaking video. Let me go somewhere where I can get it. So
Yeah.
that's how it works. That's how it works. So, we just got, there's so much to that we just got to get past. When you sign up to be an entrepreneur, you're saying, I'm going to ask people money in exchange for a good or a service. That's what you're saying. I'm going to ask people for their money in exchange for a good or a service. If you're going to do that, you've now lost the right to not give them every reason to trust you. Period. Full stop.
No.
And remember, they're going to judge you anyway. By the way, as we've been doing this podcast, people have been listening. They've been judging me. Some like me. Some don't like me. Some like you as the host, Eric. Some don't. That is reality. Every time I get in front of an audience, everyone in the room is judging me. Doesn't mean it's unrighteous judgment. It's just judgment. This is what we do as human beings. It's embedded in our DNA. It's okay. So once you accept, no matter what, I'm going to get judged. Yep, that's correct. We also tend to overvalue how much people think about us. Like they're not like their world is like we're just like this little speck. And so just like stop overinflating just how big of a deal you have in the world. Things come and they go. You have a bad video, no one really cares. Yeah, you suck today, you're good tomorrow, you're great the next day. That's how it works. Go back and watch some of my original OG videos. You're going to be like, dude, you're kind of bad. Like, I know. Look at that. And now I'm not. Now people watch me like, oh, you're such a natural. Oh, you're a natural writer. You're a natural on video. You're so good on these things. Like, you think I was like that always? No. I put in the reps. I put in the work. It's no different than the first time you went on a sales appointment in somebody's home. You probably kind of stunk, right? First house you built, you probably, got a lot of mistakes there. Kind of embarrassed about that. Hope they don't know. Like, don't ever tear off the siding. I don't want them to see. It's like, this is stuff. This is the stuff that we say and we do. First pools that we did, terrible, train wreck, awful. But that's life, that's business. You're going to get judged. So they might as well judge you in a positive way.
Yep. Makes total sense. So what about to the person who's like, I don't know what type of content to create. I don't come up with these ideas. I'm not a creative like some of these other people. Like, how do you help them get off the block?
Yeah, once again, all those statements people say all the time, and they're lying to themselves. That's not healthy. You need to, again, be honest with yourself. To say I'm not creative, that's grossly just not accurate. One of the easiest things you can do, open your dang ears and listen to the questions that you get asked every single day by potential customers and existing customers. Just listen to them. I remember, Eric, when I started They Ask You Answer, I did my brainstorm and I wrote down all those questions that just, I've been hearing for years in the home when I was selling pools. But then I would go on sales appointments and I get asked a question and I would always think, why are they asking me this? Have I not answered this question already? If so, why did they not find it? How did I let them not know this? Like, this is the conversation I would have with my own head before I even answered the question. Like, all happening because that's the obsession. That's the obsession that I have, right? And so you're getting asked these questions all the time. Now, one of the easiest ways that you can do this, though, I'll just give you the simple hack is you go to ChatGPT and you say to Chat, hey, you're an expert in Marcus Sheridan's They Ask You Answer / Endless Customers system. Following his principles of the big five, which are cost, problems, comparisons, reviews, and best, I want you to brainstorm 50 titles for potential videos or articles that have a strong hook, a strong SEO element, and follow that They Ask You Answer methodology. And you're going to be blown away with the results that you get. ChatGPT is very trained on everything I've done, and so you could have my brain working for you at your office, just like anybody's brain. My brain's not special, right? I just wrote a book, right, about answering questions and Endless Customers crushes, and you'll enjoy that when you read it. But do that. Do that. That's it. That's all you got to do. I've got if you're using ChatGPT and you don't know how to produce a pricing page, just go to Chat and go to Custom GPTs and type in Marcus Sheridan. I've built a bunch for you guys. So one is called the perfect pricing page. You want to create the perfect pricing page for your website? Use my custom GPT. It's bad to the bone. If you've already produced a pricing page for your website, right? Put the URL in my custom GPT. And you're going to be like, oh, dang, I guess we have a few improvements to make. But either way, it's awesome. You're really, really going to like it. I've also got a GPT that tests how authentic your content feels. All right. So you can put a URL in there and of any article you write, and it'll show you how authentic your content feels for that particular page, right? So these things I've created for you for free because I love you and I want you to win. I want you to crush.
That's awesome. I love that. I didn't know about the GPTs. I'll have to go test that out. That sounds great. I mean, I think in general though, like what I've really taken away too is like just it's about creating valuable content. It's about like educating your buyer, educating your prospects, your customers. And like, I think too, like just a general philosophy of mine is like, just try to help others. The more helpful content, the more you can educate people on what it's like to go through a build, what it's like to work with your company. Yep. What are all the things that are going to come up that they should, that they may be surprised about, but if you can help set the expectation now is going to make it a smoother process. Like you should have endless ideas of content that you can create. And it's the people who are just giving that content, giving that away for free on their website. Like you're warming up your prospects. It's such a better conversation, that first call, when they already have an idea what the price range is going to be. Like you're not having to give them that like, over the phone ballpark quote. And then they're just like shocked. Like they've already gotten past that.
That's why it's like music to your ears when somebody, reaches out to one of your salespeople and says, I feel like everything I know about builder software I learned from JobTread. Like that's the pinnacle of satisfaction, like as a marketer, because it means he dominated the discussion early on when I was learning about inbound. Everything I learned about inbound, I learned from HubSpot, right? And this is what's possible for anybody that's listening to this. Now, I mentioned the big five a minute ago, but the big five are the 5 subjects that drive the majority of all research. Certainly anything to do with home improvement, home services, et cetera, which are cost-based questions. There's a ton of those. Comparison-based questions. People love to compare things online, this versus that, okay? Problems or fears-based questions, like what could go wrong? How could this blow up in my face? What are the problems with a fiberglass pool? Do fiberglass pools pop out of the ground? Are fiberglass pools ugly? Are fiberglass pools cheap? These are all like fear-based questions. Is it true that questions? Okay, so which is called problems. Reviews. People love reviews. Thinking about reviews, they want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. So not just the positive, but the negative. And finally, best, most, top. Think about how many times you've gone online and searched best such and such, right? So, cost, problems, comparisons, reviews, best. That's a big 5. That's where you start your brainstorming, right there. That's the prompt that you want to put in that I gave a bit ago. That's what moves the needle the most. That's what your most active researchers and buyers are trying to know. And that's an evergreen. I feel pretty proud of the fact that I was talking about the big 5 before Google was talking about it, before Amazon was talking about it. I was talking about it way before everybody because I saw the pattern. And so I started teaching the world about these 5 subjects that move the needle for shoppers in every industry, B2B and B2C. And they continue to hold as true today as they did 15 years ago when I started discussing them openly. And they're going to be as relevant in 50 years as they are today because people are always going to research those fundamental things that they want to know.
Yeah. So, a lot of times, people when I talk about, and I'm usually sharing, what I've learned from your books here. They're like, well, Eric, I mean, you've got a huge marketing team. I don't have a huge marketing team. I can't afford even one full-time marketer or a couple of people. Like, at what point? I mean, my advice is always like, look, early on, like you need to find a marketing agency, a marketing partner, somebody who can help you get everything going. But like, at what point do you see people kind of sort of take over and bring that marketing in-house versus continuing to use?
It's a really good point. Yeah. I mean, at first you got to get leads, right? So you might be hiring an agency to do some paid ads for you just to, to build the momentum because the field hasn't had the full time to grow and to allow you to reap the harvest. But that's going to happen. And if you're going to reach your potential, if you're going to do something extraordinary online, if you're going to become the most known and trusted brand, you've got to be a creator, not outsource your content. You're just not going to do it.
No.
And so that's why you personally, as the owner, it starts with you, and it starts with you creating early on, committing, I'm going to do one video a day. It's going to be, uncut. It's just going to be, straight upload, one take. Like that stuff is magic, man. And then you realize what is possible. But eventually, yeah, the goal is that we all become like our own media company. If you want to have a multi-million-dollar and then $1 billion brand, you have to start thinking like a media company thinks, which means every single job is a potential story or a multiplicity of stories that you could show and tell. And are you treating it that way? Or are you just taking it for granted because you're used to seeing the things that you see every day and you're not showing it to the world? You see, that's the difference between the great ones and the ones that are just spinning their wheels.
Yeah. No, makes a lot of sense. So, look, we're going to have the pleasure of having you at Job Tread Connect.
Third straight, and it's going to be banging.
Oh yeah. Hey, you guaranteed me it'd be the best keynote we've ever had. So
it will be.
I'm going to hold you to it, but I mean,
throw us a fire. We're going to throw a fire on the stage. It's going to be a great time. These are my people. I mean, these are my people. And so when I say it's going to be an extraordinary keynote and you're going to leave ready to run through walls and build the most extraordinary brand in your space, I mean it. That's exactly what you're going. And the good thing is I'm going to give you a system to do it. I'm not just going to theoretically, give you a bunch of fluff. That's not how I roll at all. I want you to have takeaways that you're ready to do in the hotel room, like the minute you get back. You know what I mean? Like that's what I want for you.
I mean, that's literally what happened after I heard you speak the first time. I was ready to run through a wall. We now have almost 600 videos on our YouTube. We got, hundreds of reviews. I mean, like it was definitely a very moving, thing. It was just very eye-opening, I would say, like so many people I think don't take the time to step back and look at their own performance. I mean, and one of the things in the book you said, look, go read your homepage and count the number of times, you said, I or we, you talked about yourself. And it's the prospect doesn't care about you. It's what can you do for them, and I think being able to go through those exercises and actually having those tangible takeaways, I mean, it can really change the trajectory of anyone's business.
That's exactly right. And it's, there's this wonderful phrase that says we often overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in 10. And, if you are just willing to look at building a brand from a long-term perspective. And you say, you know what, no matter what, I'm just going to do this thing. I'm never going to stop. You are going to blow by 99%. And then suddenly you're going to have 600 videos, an incredible library, and you're going to have this massive following. And you're going to have, 30 private equity companies reaching out to you a week saying, hey, we'd love to invest in you. That's leverage. That's the law of momentum on your side. And I think it's available for anyone. There's never been a better time to be in the trades and in building, because as AI starts to, really have an effect on white collar, blue collar is going to experience an incredible renaissance. Very exciting. You're going to have more people to hire than you've ever had, which, by the way, everything we've talked about is going to help you with hiring. Everything we've talked about, which is going to be one of the keys for you in the future, as you are going to have more people in your hiring pool, because more folks are going to say, you know what, I'm not going to do it what was the traditional way pre-AI. I'm going to do it the new way. I'm going to take control of my future, and I'm going to choose a field in the trades that allows me to have so much more security. So I'm so excited for what these, next couple of decades are going to bring us.
It's going to be awesome. Now, I do want to ask you one other thing. You opened up, and I think it was like maybe the fourth thing, like, be more human. So it's like, we're talking about AI and using AI and how it's changing everything. But at the same time, you're saying be more human.
Yeah.
How do we find that balance
so well? Just what we're doing right now humanizes you as the CEO of your company. How many CEOs of really large SaaS companies are doing a podcast that's video right now?
Probably not
a large percentage. Yeah. Not a large percentage. Sure, there's some, but there's not a massive percentage. So Eric is an outlier. He's humanizing the brand, the person behind the brand. We buy from those we know, like, and trust. I would ask you, when you send out an email, if you're listening to this, do you send that email text-based, or do you send it as a video? like you should be sending out video-based email all the time. If you're not, why? I mean, we've been sending text-based email for 30 freaking years. I mean, come on, we can advance that a little bit. So that's a way that you can humanize your business and brand. How often are you showing behind the scenes? How often are you showing your people other than just like a staff photo? Like, give me a break. I really want to see your people and learn the stories behind them, right? So these are all things that we can do. And there's a lot more we can do to humanize. But in a time when the technology increases and the AI is doing that, you can humanize your brand even further. And they can coexist perfectly in the same room.
How do you go about kind of figuring out the mixture of, like, there's the person. So there's my personal brand, there's JobTread as the company. I sort of see, I am JobTread. Like, how do you sort of find the balance between that? Because I see a lot of business owners that they post a lot on their company's page, but like it seems like Facebook and the social notes deprioritize that. You post on your personal though, and you're getting so much more traction and engagement.
Yeah, we just don't really like to follow brands online. We don't interact with them very much because there feels like there's a barrier. Whereas suddenly, the person comes out and it's like, well, it's interesting. It's like if I show someone, if I say, do you know who Kylie Jenner is? Everybody's like, yes. If I say, do you know her makeup line? A huge portion of people say, I've got no idea her makeup line. Right. And you could do that same example just on down the list. And so if I'm just starting a company, it's all about building the personal brand, because the personal brand you can take with you after the company's built anyway, which is going to be important. So like if you're, this isn't Eric's last four, right? Like he ain't going to have JobTread until he's 95. Eric's got like a runway. Even if he does, you're going to have other things that you do, because that's how your mind thinks. Your mind is like, it's got a vision for what's possible, right? And so you might have, 5 different types of JobTreads in the future of different industries and different things going on. And so the personal brand matters a lot, because it's that you will take with you to the next thing. And I don't think, no matter what happens, I don't think people at scale are really ever going to just spend a lot of time interacting with brands online. They're going to always prefer the human behind the brand. And this is why you now have to get from behind the desk to in front of the desk, in front of the camera, and put yourself out there and humanize the brand as much as possible. It starts with you as the CEO. And by the way, if you do that, your team is much more likely to do it as well. I mean, Eric eats his own dog food. This is why anything you are asking your team to do from a marketing perspective, I mean, you are living it and breathing it yourself.
Absolutely. So would you encourage all those who, think that, that they missed the social media, the social networking, bandwagon? Do they need to go and create or reactivate those Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram accounts?
Man, you did not miss anything. It's early, guys. Seriously, it's way, way early, and things are always changing. They're always evolving. And the way social media works today, it's not so much based on subscribers. It's just based on how relevant is the content to the interests of that person. It's really interest media, much more so than social media at this point. Yeah. So just give them what they want, what they're interested in, and you're going to see that you're going to get an audience.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And again, I can't recommend enough. Everybody, if you have not read, either one of these books, I'd recommend go with Endless Customers at this point. It was very similar, a lot of similar content, but like you really did a great job, I think, updating it, with kind of the latest and greatest and how AI comes into play. Like, I think this is absolutely hands down the best, $20 or whatever it costs you to buy that book on Amazon or wherever you get your books. Like, and if anyone out there, if you think you can't afford $20 or you think this book isn't be a great read, like, you reach out to me, I'll buy it for you, and you'll tell me later it's the best book you've ever read. I mean, it was such a, it really changed the trajectory of our business, Marcus, like from the very beginning, and then going through it again was such a great refresher, but I think beyond just like reading the content and learning the things, like the other thing you did a great job of is encouraging us as a team to take the time to meet together. Marketing doesn't happen in a silo. You have to get everybody around the table, and everyone needs to commit to being part of this. Everyone can create content. Everyone can create and come up with ideas and brainstorm. And when you truly get your team involved, it creates that alignment. and again, put all the actual marketing, the strategy, the content aside, like getting your team aligned and working together, that's invaluable. But this just gives you that thing to unite around and get the troops and rally them up and get everybody excited again about what your business is doing. And, again, you could be coming up with your mission, your vision, your core values. Like, how are we going to build a great company, a great culture? Like, there's so much that you need to do as a business to create a great company. And why not create content around that? Why not put that on your website, put that out on social media? Like, it creates so much awareness to attract not only customers, but employees, like you talked about. Like, to build a great team, you got to create, that content that attracts them, that helps them find you. So, again, I highly encourage everybody to take the time to read this book, Endless Customers. It's phenomenal. But I mean, Marcus, you've got tons of other resources and content out there. Like, where would you recommend people also go to learn more about, what you can do and how you could help them?
Well, a good place to start is by following me on LinkedIn, because I put some really good content out there. That's usually like the first place I put it out there. And if you go to endlesscustomers.com, you can learn about the book. We've got a free course for folks as well that you can watch. We've got a lot of free tools that come with it. Make sure you get priceguide.ai. I'm telling you, you will 3 to 5x your leads the moment you put it up on your homepage. I'm not joking. You're going to 3 to 5x. If you're getting 5 leads a week, you're going to get 15 a week once you add Price Guide to your website. And you can email me directly, marcus@marcussheridan.com. That's the email, marcus@marcussheridan.com. Look at that. Just gave you that. So I'm here for it. I'm here to answer your questions. Can't wait to see everybody at Connect. We're going to have a great time. And you're creating a movement. I'm happy to be a part of the movement, man. I love stuff like that. I love energy, and the energy is going to be at Connect.
Awesome. Well, look, I really appreciate you coming on, sharing all of these, tactical, strategies, tips, tricks, everything that you've done here today. Can't wait to see you at JobTrade Connect. I know you'll bring the fire. I have no doubt. It's really awesome though to see you spending so much of your time giving back and sharing and creating all this content. Like, I mean, again, it's exactly what this industry needs. It's how, a rising tide lifts all boats, is that we have to take the time to, learn and keep developing our own skills, whatever they may be, wherever you need to grow and improve. Take your blinders off, get real, and commit to growing yourself as a leader, commit to growing your team, to coaching them, training them, getting them, performing at the level that you expect. And it's going to create a huge impact on your business. And, you're leading by example, Marcus. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the time that you put into creating all of this and to sharing this with the world. Like, I just, again, I can't believe that you actually have just published it all and given it all away to everyone. I'm sure all your competitors love, consuming everything that you're doing, and you love watching them just go and do it all right there. But, it's making a huge impact. And, I'm just one of, thousands and thousands of people that you've impacted. So I want to say thank you. It's an honor to have you on this show. It's an honor to have you coming to JobTrade Connect, to getting involved with our community. Those are the people that I truly care very deeply about their success. And I can't wait, for your tools and everything that you can bring to the table to help them keep growing and scaling their business. Because that's what it's all about here, man. We all can win together as one large community. And I'm excited to have you part of it.
Yeah, 100%. Love that abundance mindset that you have, my man. So can't wait. I will see everybody then. Thank you again, Eric, for this platform and for your community. It's a special group.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. We'll see you in January. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Builder Stories. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained valuable insights that can help you in your journey along the way. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave us a review. And as always, if you or someone you know has a story to share, please contact us at builderstories.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Eric Fortenberry, and remember, every builder has a unique story. Keep building yours.